into education.
Well, when you've spent over $4.5 trillion with one federal department, and we have 30 schools in Chicago where a fifth grader cannot read at grade level. We have 35 schools in Baltimore where kids cannot do math or reading at grade level. We cannot find a single school, not a single school in downtown Detroit, where by the time they graduate high school in the heavily black areas, that they're proficient in reading or math. We are now like 31st in the industrialized world of education. We spend more in education than almost any other country per capita, and yet our results are worse. Maybe it's because we've sent all this money to DC to overly centralize the way we educate, and the Department of Education has been a complete disaster. And so we can go anywhere you want with this discussion.
I'm just going to say one more thing about this and we can move on. And thank you for talking to me for this long. I really appreciate it. But you're talking about like people that are coming from poor backgrounds where education in their families is not a part of the way that they're raised. Of course, they're going to be the ones that have a lower...
No, that's not correct. You
I
see,
highly doubt it.
The competing Catholic schools in the same area that do it for 2/3 less money, almost all the kids can read by the time they graduate middle school.
And where does that money come from?
Well, sometimes from charter schools, taxpayers, or from private donors. So take, for example, in downtown Chicago or downtown Philadelphia, the private Catholic school can educate a kid for around $12,000 a year. Philadelphia, it's about $30,000 a year, and none of the kids can read. So the local religious schools, they have kids that are less likely to be unruly, less likely to commit crimes. They're more likely to graduate high school and college. They can read and they could do math, and yet the local public school spends triple what the local Catholic school does, and they can't do any of that stuff. Why? Because a government-run program of education has been a failure in this country, and that's what President Trump is doing by abolishing the Department of Education.
Okay, so if there's no public, I'm not saying that the public education system is perfect. I'm saying that having I think the privatization of public things in general is bad, and obviously that's a very...
Why would you say that? So, I mean that's just... we can go through the list of that, but...
Because it's not... Because getting rid of, for example, DEI, or getting rid of... And again, I'm not super pro-DEI.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in California. I'll put it that way.
I'll try to apply it to yours.
Okay, I grew up in one of the most expensive towns in California.
Okay, Montecito? I don't know, I'm guessing.
Yeah, no, something like that. I don't want to talk because I'm a political commentator. I'm not saying my name, but I will tell you that seeing that we had three 82-inch TVs in my school for a public school when other kids in Compton had absolutely nothing, and I know a big part of that is because...
why is that? It's property taxes, right? And so, yes, however, let's just get down to the core of it, which is that in San Diego, are the private schools or the public schools more desirable?
It's kind of complicated because we have charter schools that are public, we have like High Tech High. We have
people pay money to go to private school, right? For a reason. So what is our perspective? The money should follow the child. You should have school choice. You should be able to go to whatever the school of your choosing, and it works super well.
But the good private schools that you talk about these ones in Chicago with cherry-picked data. When we're talking about San Diego, they cost about $40,000 a year.
It's not cherry-picked data.
It is cherry-picked data. Talking about a single example of a Catholic school that's publicly funded or funded by donors.
There's hundreds of these exzexamples.
Okay,
right?
hundreds of these examples, but the reality is that the majority of them, you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money in order to get into them.
Right. So then what per pupil in San Diego, what do you think they charge per student in the public school? Anywhere between $25,000 to $35,000.
I have no idea, and I don't think that it has anything to do with the debate we're having.
No, it has everything to do with it. And I'll just close with this. So there's 21 million people that work for the government in this country, 11 million education, 11 million in education. How many of the 11 million do you think are teachers?
I see, you're just coming up. Look,
can you
repeat your question? Because I thought we were going to continue, because we barely talked about anything I want to talk about.
Well, no, I mean, we did freewheeling. That's what this is, right? So there's 11 million people that work in education in America. How many would you guess are teachers?
I'm assuming that it's very bloated, and I'm just going to guess that 2 million are teachers.
Yeah, it's about 2 to 3. It's like 3.5 to 4 million. So that means that 7 million people that work in education are unnecessary administrators and paper pushers. And why is that important? Because we've not been funding teachers or education the last 30 years. We've been funding unnecessarily bureaucracy in our education the last 30 or 40 years. And President Trump goes to abolish it. Thank you for your time. I got to get to the next question. Thank you. Hello.
Hi. My name's Ellie. overall, just to go into my question, I am conservative. So going into this, I was like, oh, like what should what should I ask you about? I think overall, I was going through different policies, and in general, I agree. Ultimately, I think the topic of my question is how to approach politics in school and in general with this function. I've found that a lot of times, when I talk to people who are on the other side of me, they are surprised to find out what I think, and my ideas are not that crazy. It's like when you actually get into the meat of it, it's like, oh, actually, maybe it does make sense. And so I think it's really valuable to start giving these ideas to the world. And so this is one of these options. But I guess my question is this the best way? Because when I hear, like, for example, on Reddit, they're like, don't approach him, don't do this, he's just doing that, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's using all these tactics. And so I wonder if you've considered, not to say that this is a bad way to go about it, but if there's maybe a slightly better way, because I think what you're saying has a lot of value in this world, but it's like in this school specifically, it is thought of as evil and as like not like a valid way to think.
That's a UC San Diego problem, not a Charlie Kirk problem, right?
No, and it's not, and it's not to say it's a problem of you. No.
And I mean, like, and I read there was some op-ed journalists where they said, ignore Charlie, ignore him. Well, what they're saying is that they are not either smart enough or they're not intellectually mature enough to have a discussion with a conservative on any issue. I have literally almost no notes. I have like a couple charts to show you if the topics come up. You guys can use AI, you guys can use Grok, you could do whatever you want. You could bring a professor, you could bring 5 of your top libs together, debate me, right?
Yeah.
Do I, other side? Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. And you guys can debate me at any time. I fail to understand why, well, actually I know the reason. Speech is not a left-wing value. And they do not believe in freedom of speech, they believe in totalitarian control. There are exceptions to that. So if they have a problem, I think this is one of the best ways, not the best way. I literally could not be more open to disagreement. I say if you disagree, you go to the front of the line.
Yeah.
And I mean, how often do you as conservatives get a chance to challenge liberals on campus, right? And being welcomed, ever?
Oh, absolutely, almost never. Definitely
because
not in class.
Because speech is not a left-wing value.
No, but to say that, I mean, with all of that being said, that is very true. But ultimately, what happens here is I see a lot of, like, the ideas just being like bubbled against, and so like when I talk to my friends, their ideas aren't changed from these conversations, and so I wonder if there's just like a.
You would be surprised. Sorry to interrupt. Mm-hmm. What happens here gets seen hundreds of millions of times on social media.
Absolutely, yes.
The crowds are growing, and so look, some people are going to remain closed-minded. They're not going to, have their horizons open, but that's on them, right? They have to actually want to pursue the truth and not just have their own worldview confirmed.
And then I guess that's where I disagree, because I think fundamentally there is truth within anything, and I believe that maybe I would ask you like to see that like you have a big role in this. You have a big fan base and a big media base that you are making incredible change, and to take it just one step further would be really trying to push the narrative against this being like a place where people are just like debating. It's more than that.
What would you like to see?
I guess maybe it's more of a question. I guess, I don't know, moving forward, like trying to maybe to see that like instead of using these really fast tactics and to really like try to bring it down, not to say someone is, not to say that they're, no.
I disagree with all that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking way too much about libs on Reddit. I care about normal people, so.
No,
yeah.
But
I mean, you did bring up Reddit. I'm sorry. You're like.
No, I guess that's true. No, and I guess
so
maybe.
These people are not well socially adjusted, right? I talk to the 90% of the American people that actually want to make something of their life and have kids and.
No, and I couldn't agree more with that like stance. I guess maybe stepping away from Reddit, it's to me the people on this campus. This is a school I go to, and almost everyone I'm surrounded with has a completely different view from me, and
not everybody.
No, and this is like, but this like the people here, to find them, it feels like you're like sifting through a needle in a haystack.
You want a hat?
Sure.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Disagreements, come to the front of the line. Yes.
So I have a couple points that I want to talk about in illegal immigration. Is it okay if I say all of them with no interruptions? Okay, cool. So First, illegal immigrants power our economy. They're 50% of U.S. farm workers, harvesting the food on our tables, and fill 70% of construction jobs in states like Texas. They pay $13 billion annually in taxes, including $2 billion to Social Security that they can't claim. Deporting them would slash agricultural output by $60 billion and raise food prices by 6%. Why gut our farms and wallets when these workers fuel our prosperity? That's my first point. Second point. They strengthen our communities with lower crime rates. So in Texas, undocumented immigrants have a 26 lower percent homicide conviction rates. So, which is 2.2 per 100,000 versus 3 for native-born citizens. Nationally, immigrants are incarcerated at half the rate of native-born, where it's 0.85% versus 1.71%. That's according to Bureau of Justice Statistics from 2019. So if safety is your goal, why deport people who make our streets safer? This is my third point. Mass deportation tears apart American families. Over 4.4 million U.S. citizens, children have an undocumented parent. And in Texas, 1 in 7 kids lives in a mixed status household. Okay, this is my fourth point. Deportation is a fiscal nightmare. Removing 11 million people would cost $315 to $400 billion. More than the entire Homeland Security budget, and shrink our GDP by 1.7 trillion over 10 years. And this is my last point. Our immigration system is broken, pushing people to cross illegally. Visa waits Mexicans can exceed 20 years, and the asylum blockage is 1.3 million cases, with hearings 4 to 6 years out. Okay.
You done?
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
All right, so without looking at the phone, look at me. What
Sure.
should the penalty be for breaking into America?
I think there should be a system where it's more merit-based. So if this person...
No, penalty. So what is the penalty? So what should happen to you?
Felony. It's not a felony, it's a misdemeanor.
No, it is. That's not true. It's 8 U.S.C. 1312. You
misdemeanor.
can look it up right now.
It's a felony if it's done twice. If you
No,
try to
that's
cross
not
the border,
correct.
that is correct.
That is not correct.
I Googled it, dude.
To illegally go across the southern border with the well intent to come into harbor yourself into the interior of the United States, the violation of 8 U.S.C. 1312,
Okay.
which is a felony in the federal criminal code. Now, it can be enforced as a misdemeanor, or it can be upwards to 5 years in prison.
Okay.
Now, I want to know, since it's a felony, law on the
Sure.
books, 8 U.S.C. 1312,
Yeah.
what should the penalty be?
Well, in my opinion, these kinds of laws are usually they're what do you call it? They're sorry. Usually the sorry. Wait, sorry. Can I check my phone real quick? I apologize. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
What should the penalty be
Okay.
for someone that breaks or comes into America illegally? What should the penalty be?
I think there should be a merit system where the people. Okay, the
Not
penalty.
answer.
All right, let's.
That's
the penalty.
not the answer. It's a very simple moral
Okay.
and legal question.
Okay,
What
sure.
should the penalty be if you come into America illegally?
Okay, so since it's a misdemeanor, not a felony, misdemeanors
I
are.
just told you it's not 8. You can look up on
That's
your
not
chat
true.
GPT what is
Yeah,
8
yeah.
USC. Look up what is 8 USC 1312.
No, I know. I've already looked it up.
Yes,
When it's your second time crossing the border illegally, then it becomes a felony.
it can be, and it is enforced as a felony, and it usually is done as a misdemeanor citation because no one has the stones to do 20 million felony applications.
Okay.
So I just want to ask,
Yeah.
what should the penalty be then for someone that comes into this country illegally?
Usually there's 3 ways that go about this when there's a penalty. There's either like a fine, or there's some kind of public service that this person does, or you send them back. But
Send them back. I agree. That's what we should do.
Okay. So this is interesting. So one of the statistics that I read said that illegal immigrants don't cause as much they don't break the law as often as people who are native born.
Well, hold on. Time out.
That is statistic.
But
time out.
But
dude.
every single one of them are criminals. They're all criminals.
Okay, sure. By law.
Well, hold
by
on.
law.
No,
okay.
no, no.
By law. Of course. Of course they are.
Wait, so
I
if
agree that
they commit less crime and they're all criminals, Wait a
Okay,
second.
so
By
you're basically-
definition,
yeah.
they all have broken the law by being here, and they break the law every day by staying here, because you're
Okay.
actually not allowed to stay here either. Do you know that?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
every
yeah.
day you're here, you're actually continually breaking the law. You can't break in or harbor. That's what the federal law says.
Okay.
So by breaking in, it's not just the only law they broke. Every second you remain here, you're also
Yeah.
breaking the law. So that statistic is invalidated by just them breathing here. They're breaking the law.
No, of course not. Of course not. So, of course, it makes sense for them when they're here. They're breaking the law because they're illegal immigrants, obviously. But once they're of course. So once they're here, once they are here, what kind of harm are they actually doing? When you look at the numbers statistically,
lot.
No, that's not true. Okay,
Black
so look,
wages have
in
gone
Texas,
down.
Okay, in Texas,
DUIs have gone up dramatically.
Try not to interrupt, bro.
Well,
Okay,
hold
so
on. I'm interjecting, and I let you go uninterrupted with your whole soliloquy,
true, yeah,
right?
thank you.
So let me ask you a question now.
Okay.
So, if it is correct
yeah,
that illegal aliens commit less crimes, which of course it's not correct.
that is correct. Look it up. In
but
Texas, they made a study in 2019. 26% are
is
lower.
any crime? It's just not correct. But I'm
That
not
is
going to debate that.
correct.
It's I just proved it at its face because they commit a crime by being here every day. That is a crime.
Okay, once they are here, what kind of crimes are they committing? Which is
Okay. Well,
they're
okay.
26%.
Do you know the name
less.
Laken Riley?
No, educate me.
Oh, you don't.
No.
Do you know? Wow. Do you know the name Rachel Morin?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Educate
Okay.
me. What
So
kind of...
Laken Riley was a girl at the University of Georgia.
Okay.
There was a peeping Tommy, illegal alien, that was deported 5 times prior, and Biden kept on letting him back in. He hunted her down, raped her, sodomized her, and murdered her on a hiking trail, University of Georgia.
Okay, so
Rachel,
one person doesn't represent
hold
all
on a
illegal
second.
immigrants.
Every person who is killed by an illegal alien is one that should not happen. Every single one.
Of course, and also the ones that are native born.
Everyone.
As
And
well
so
as
that's
the
the
ones who are
point.
native born.
Is that it's not a matter
As well
of the
as people who are
rate.
native born.
The rate, even if I accept your premise, which is incorrect, the rate is irrelevant. The number is what's relevant. There should be 0 illegal aliens. There should be 0 Americans being killed by illegals.
So, okay.
Not to mention there's 6 other problems with illegal aliens. They steal Social Security numbers. They depress wages. They are heavily involved. By the way, not to mention, a lot of people that cross on the southern border are also smuggling girls, weapons, and drugs alongside the southern border when they come. It's the largest slavery operation in American history that many illegal aliens help make possible on the southern border. And I guess the final question I'll have is, should a government serve its citizens first and foremost?
Yeah, of course. Well, okay, there's been many people who are like very political leaders who have said that this place is built off of immigrants.
Oh, is it? Wait, hold on. Let's think about that.
Sure.
First of all, it's legal, not illegal. But was America founded by immigrants or settlers?
Settlers.
That's not an immigrant.
Yeah. Okay,
An
well, that's not
immigrant
my
is-
point. My point is that
Just
people
brought
who-
up the nation built by immigrants.
Yeah,
We're actually not.
because the political leaders have said that this place is built.
Yeah, and they're
from
wrong.
They're wrong. Political
yes.
leaders are wrong. George
Yes.
W. Bush is wrong. All these political leaders
Yes.
who have built
yes.
America.
By the way, the
wrong.
first person to say that was.
How is
Ted-
that wrong? When
Hold
illegal
on, 'cause
immigrants make, they grow the economy.
Okay,
Statistically,
allow me
studies.
allow me to build it out for you.
Sure.
Immigrants have helped at times in American history, but we are first and foremost a nation founded by settlers. Immigrants come to a country already built. Settlers come to a barren place and build something new.
Right.
This land was barren when people came. In the 1840s gold rush, this was not an easy place to live.
Yeah.
California was not exactly industrialized. There was not immigrants coming west to California. Those were settlers building a new place around, Western values. Finally, I would just ask the question, do you see a moral distinction between a legal immigrant and an illegal immigrant?
Well, the argument is that they're cutting in line. Like the argument is that they're cutting in line in the 20-year process that it would take for someone to cross illegally.
It's not 20, but yeah.
At most it's 20. Right now there's around like 1.2 million people who are currently waiting that would take 6 to 7 years for a hearing.
And by the way, no one has a right to come to this country,
Of
just
course,
to be
wait,
clear.
let me stay on track of what I was going to say. Okay, so people who come here usually, almost all the time when they come here, they benefit society. There's studies that have done this.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but overall in general.
But no,
when you look overall
I
in general, you look at the
fundamentally
statistics,
disagree with that.
you can't disagree with a fact.
Hold on. Do you think Elon Omar has enriched the United States of America?
I don't know who.
Do you
that
think
is.
Rashida Tlaib?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I could go through person
Wait,
by
are
person
these-
by person.
So I don't know these people. Are these people who have are illegal immigrants that have caused harm?
Yeah, if you don't know, I don't mean to pick on you. It's fine.
Okay,
But I
thanks.
guess the final question is,
Sure.
do you have any concern that there are too many people coming into this country and we're a nation of strangers, not a nation of neighbors.
If the people who are coming are creating America, making it more growing, like the economy is growing, then what harm is that doing? Especially if the people
Because
who
we're
are
more
coming
than
are
an
not...
economy, though, aren't we? We're a culture, we're a language,
Yeah,
we're
of course.
people.
Okay, so let's talk about that front. When they come here, they don't have any kind of... They're not committing as more crimes than the people who are already here. That is a statistic
We've already
done.
dispelled that, but
That
do
is not- you can't
in
dispel a
California,
statistic.
Let's
What are
take
you talking
California.
about?
Let's,
You can't-
do you think there's anything wrong that a
What?
majority of young people in California speak Spanish, not English?
Is there... Wait, sorry, can you say that?
Do you think there's anything wrong or troubling to the fact that a majority of people under the age of 30 here in this state speak Spanish, not English? Is there a problem with that?
Well, yeah, everyone should be able to have a ability to communicate with the rest of the crowd. So I don't know what the big issue of that
See, I think
is.
it's a huge problem when we have a nation where you can't communicate
Sure,
with your fellow
okay,
neighbor.
simple solution. Teach them how to speak English. What is
Well,
your
yeah,
point?
and our schools don't do that, actually. And also, have a better solution.
Yeah.
Don't import a bunch of people that don't speak English.
You mean importing people who actually grow
Actually,
the economy,
well, but,
who
again,
don't...
reject.
What?
I reject your premise. We
That's
are more
not
than
a premise. That's a study that's been done.
Do
What
you
are
know what a
talking
premise is?
about?
I don't actually care as much about economic growth because
You
we're
don't
one
care
nation
about- you
under.
don't care about
We're one
economic
nation under
growth.
GDP. We're not one nation under GDP. We're a nation under God.
Yeah.
And when we lose social cohesion, and you import a bunch of people that don't share our values, that don't necessarily always assimilate, that's a major and serious problem. And we are a people first and foremost with a creed, and that creed is falling apart. Mass migration has not helped that creed. Yes, they might buy more trinkets. They might help depress wages. Mass migration, of course, can
Right,
help
all
them-
good things, all great
Well, hold
things
on.
for America
They,
that needs.
well, they help major corporations, but you know what they also do? They keep down the wages of working people. If you are a plumber, yes, of course. If you think about it, if you're a plumber, electrician, or a
Wait,
welder,
okay.
and you have to compete against someone from Nicaragua who's willing to do it for $5 less an hour,
Yeah.
that depresses the wages of the American citizen.
Right. Yeah, so there's been studies that have done that also like counteract that. Illegal immigrants.
Well, let's
only
use our reason.
Illegal.
Hold
No,
on, let's
no,
use our
look
reason.
our studies.
Let's
how
use
about,
our
how about
reason.
statistics?
How about our reason? So we've had mass migration for 20 years. Have wages gone up?
I don't know.
No, they haven't actually.
Yeah,
So
okay.
forget your studies. For 10 years
Forget your studies.
for 10 years we've had 30 million people come into America. Wages have gone down dramatically.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason why.
Okay. Okay.
So what I encourage you to do, just because there's a study that confirms, you should use your reason and look actually at self-evident truths. Be like, does that make sense? Can you name a...
Statistics are self-evident.
Well,
truths.
not always. Statistics are
Not
very
always?
misleading. Yes. Like, for example, I could say, did you know that 600 people a year die because of seatbelts? Well, that's a misleading statistic because over 100,000 lives are saved by seatbelts. That's an incomplete statistic.
Wait, okay, so where's the... So that's a gray area. So where's the gray area where people are talking about where 26% of illegal immigrants who come here commit less crimes than native born?
Okay, how many times have you been over this? That's just not correct.
Well,
It's
that
not
is
true.
correct. That is correct.
Every single crime. It doesn't matter
this
about
is a
the
study
rate.
that was done in Texas, the most diverse,
Again.
second most diverse state.
Every crime an illegal commits is one that should never have happened. It
Okay.
is a period.
Yeah, of course,
they
of
should
course.
not be here. So
I
I don't
agree.
care about the rate. The rate is irrelevant. So let me just ask one final
The rate
question.
is relevant.
Someone broke into the country and cut in line. What should happen to them?
Well, they're given. Ideally, there's a system. Ideally, there's a system that's merit-based, where these people then become part of the citizen. Like they become a legal citizen.
Yeah, I mean, we have clarity but not agreement. I say deport them all back to their country of
I don't
origin
think
and
that's
put
not
Americans
that's
first.
That's not an appropriate solution. When
Well, the
no.
American people voted for it, and it is appropriate.
It isn't appropriate because most of the people that do come here illegally contribute positively to
Again,
society.
they-
Not again,
they are-
dude. Statistically,
I have
everything
been
backs
through-
this.
You're not
Everything
listening to
backs-
anything I'm saying, and that's fine. They take jobs from Americans. They depress wages. They steal Social Security numbers. They commit a crime every single day that they're here. They flood our public schools. They flood our social services. They flood our hospitals. They are a burden on the taxpayer. They should go back and make their own country great again and apply and become a legal immigrant if they want to live here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next question, yeah. Hi. Wow, that's aggressive.
All right.
Okay, jeez.
Perfect.
Get that guy a Valium or something. Xanax. Jeez.
Good. All right. Good morning. So I am conservative, but there is one thing that I did want to debate you on. So you say that college is a scam and that so many students go hundreds of thousands in debt and useless degrees. I completely agree with that. My question is, why is it on the institutions and colleges and not on the students, since we as conservatives always focus on personal responsibility? When a quick
That's a
Google
great
search
question. Yeah, it should also be on the students as well.
All right. Is there any thing about the universities and the universities should be doing then, since it is a capitalist society and they are trying to get profits?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I don't know what the endowment is here, but I think that the endowment should be used to help repay kids' student loans that they scammed. I think the fact that Harvard is sitting on $55 billion, I think that we should take the endowment money from places like Harvard, Princeton, and Yale and help kids pay off their student loans because they've been so severely scammed by the system.
And what can students do? I mean, there's Google, there's tons of things that I think personal responsibility is a huge issue that a lot of students that I know are blaming it on the universities when they pick degrees that don't have much money or job opportunity or things like that. What should students be doing?
Say that again? Sorry.
What should students be doing since it is a personal responsibility? And a lot of students are blaming the universities and colleges for tricking them when a quick Google search would suffice.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, again, that's why I don't think as many people should be going to college.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
agree with that.
yeah.
All right, thank you.
I'll sign your hat. Thank you.
you.
Yep. All right, disagreements, you guys can come up. Yep. Yes, if you guys disagree, come on to the front. Come on.
Hi, Charlie. Thank you so much for coming here. I think it's really good that you come to campuses and talk to people who disagree with you. I also think it's like a testament, like you've like gotten a really big following, and it's a testament to the fact that capitalism works and merit-based societies work, that we can actually grow our influence. And yeah, so I agree with you with a lot of things, but I do disagree with you with like 2 or 3 particular points. And I hope to like go touch on all of them. Firstly, it's about morality and the fact that your claim that objective morality exists. I disagree with that. I think morality is relative for everyone or subjective, and it kind of like grows as with the culture and as the culture changes. So yeah, what are your thoughts about that, and how do you justify objective morality?
Do you believe in absolute truth?
What do you mean by absolute truth?
Absolute truth, like that there is truth absolute for all people.
Yes.
You do? Okay, that's objective morality.
That's objective facts. I won't say that's morality.
Okay, so do I have permission to ask you a provocative question?
Sure.
Was-
I know what you're going to ask.
Okay, fine. I mean, was Hitler objectively wrong?
No. So I do. So
What was the Holocaust objectively evil?
I want to like make a distinction between like my personal views that I do feel that it is wrong, but I can't say that it is like objectively wrong because I don't believe that objective morality exists. Like why can I ask you like why do you think objective morality exists, and how do you like ground that objective morality in?
Well, first, of course, we believe that the Lord of the heavens and the earth gave us that objective reality through revelation.
Okay.
But secondly, we believe it's written on the heart of every human. You know, in Nuremberg, it's very interesting. When they did the Nuremberg trials, and the Nazis basically said, well, in our country it was right, therefore it's right. Do you know that in Nuremberg they rejected that? They said, no, every human being knows that killing 6 million, babies and kids is wrong. And so do you think there's anything built into us of a moral compass that prevents us from doing evil and we have to try to stifle it?
I think there are moral intuitions that everyone has, but again, like those moral intuitions can differ from person to person, right? Like I might say that, like I don't know, like doing something is wrong, but like someone else might say, oh, it's fine in this situation. So like, how do you distinguish? Like, so it's obviously subjective, right? Like everyone might have their own opinions on what is right and what is wrong. So how do you how do you make a framework that says that, like, these are the rules of what is right and what is wrong, and like how do you ground
The
that?
more important question is, do you believe in God? Which I guess you do not.
I'm agnostic. Like,
Yeah, okay, so yeah. That's where, okay, so if you don't believe in, this actually, what's your name? Sorry.
Abhinav.
Yeah, well, you're making a great argument. And your argument is totally correct, which is that if you don't believe in God, then you cannot say that the Holocaust was wrong. In order to believe that, in order to believe something is objectively wrong, you must believe in God. Because if you believe in God, then you believe that there's a transcendent moral order that is over all of us. And you're proving that point, and it's not even a criticism. You are being consistent.
Okay.
And to your point, which is that, so we believe that there is a God that has rules for life. We believe that was given to Moses primarily at Mount Sinai. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery. And that every society and every culture lives under that natural law. And so, but it's very interesting that if we get away from the idea of a belief in God and the transcendent, you can see how dangerous that is for society, right?
I wouldn't say it's dangerous because it really depends on what the morals the society adopts and like what their constitution is, what their values are. I don't know why that needs to be grounded in religion.
Well, so let me ask, okay, so would you say that murder is bad? Yes?
I would say that.
By
yeah.
what standard do you measure bad?
I would say that like it's based on